I've worked on so many roles on set, it's safe to call myself a full-blown filmmaker. Hey, it's Luke again, and welcome back to Les Delices. Recently, I was asked to shoot another film with our friend Emily. You guys know her. We've shot multiple fashion-esque commercials and a music video together over the past 2 years. Well, this time she asked if I could do a short narrative film on a tight budget.
We're making a movie. Again. Another one.
I've been asked this before. In fact, I've nearly made a career out of it. Coming up, I always wanted to be a filmmaker, and most of my practice came from just making movies with what I had. Even as I started getting real work, it was always you get the client, but none of the crew and very minimal kit. So I honed in on all my skills, becoming a jack of all trades, specializing behind the camera and being focused on every aspect of the piece, all the way through post. My whole career, I just wanted to get better and learn more, fascinated by every tool of filmmaking while focusing mainly on becoming a good cinematographer with knowledge across many departments as my ace in production. Most of my professional work has been short-form doc or commercial. Always looking forward to long-form narrative, though that doesn't come around as often as I'd like. The last truly narrative project I did was 2.5 years ago in Australia. I didn't have the biggest crew and I had to travel super light. My gaffer only had a few lights to work with, and don't get me wrong, it came out pretty good, but a big part of why it worked is because I also edited the film. Being a jack of all trades, I saw myself as perfect for the project, but looking back, my biggest critique of myself was the lack of attention to lighting. I was so focused on helping production, since most of the above the line were pretty green, that I didn't focus enough on my job as a cinematographer. I expected my gaffer to handle the lighting, and although I had a good one, they didn't fully understand what I was going for in each scene. I focused so much on framing for the story I was trying to help tell that I let go of the lighting and wasn't paying close enough attention to contrast and direction. So going into Emily's short, I really wanted to dial in and focus solely on my job as the DP, not be the guy trying to handle every aspect of production. We had days and days of prep. I worked out every shot with Emily and our first AD, Hayden. I had a full crew of people I'm lucky enough to call my friends and work with every day. In my road to becoming a good DP, I spent my time as a gaffer to understand lighting, and I built a lighting and camera rental house, so I had access to all of our gear I've accumulated. It couldn't have been more perfect. I don't know about you, but I get just as excited to shoot a small project like this as I do a large commercial, because growing up making movies with my friends was all I ever wanted. Along with Emily, Hayden, Will, Nick, and a couple of new faces, David and Phil, we embarked on a 2-day short that I wanted to visually knock out the park. In commercials, I try to find the most powerful shot of every single frame. In narrative, not every shot has to be stunning, but it has to flow. The challenge with the short in particular was the sheer amount of dialogue. It was roughly a 30-70 split between movement and conversation, so I had to keep those scenes visually interesting with good coverage. I achieved this by using a camera jib for almost the entire shoot, mainly as rolling sticks. It let me change my angle easily, and I shot the shadow side for most of the scenes in the nursing home room. I did use the Kessler Pocket Jib Pro for this. And the jib also gave me a creative tool. I could boom up and down during certain shots to shift the tone of the conversation visually, raising or lowering a character in the frame. Logistically, it was critical too, since I had to find all my shots fast and lock all axes quickly. I tried to be as efficient as possible with camera builds throughout. I was mainly shooting on my Alexa Mini with the Canon R6 Mark III on a DJI RS3 Pro as my B-cam. That particular combo gave me a long dolly shot for one scene and a super high angle off of a combo stand for another. For lighting, this movie was almost entirely 50-50 exterior to interior. There was really only one scene that needed a full setup. I had a hallway lit, but just with some infinity bars and blacked out overheads. The bedroom, though, was where a majority of the film takes place, and I wanted to pay extra attention to the lighting plan. I wanted the room to feel sunny, but with no hard light on the subjects. We only had one window, so my plan was to put diffusion up against it tight with a full grid, then use two 1200X units at least 8 feet away to fill the rag and give me a really nice ambient exposure with direction. I used a 400X for fill in the corner and a 4x4 black floppy to bring contrast back in for coverage, and an infinity bar mounted in the practical behind talent. This time, I didn't leave anything to chance. I planned the lighting down to the last detail and walked my gaffer through the exact setup before we even stepped on the set. I wanted to control that room as much as possible, because all of our exterior scenes were plagued with intermittent rain, random bursts of sunshine, and otherwise cloudy day and insane wind. And with a crew of only 2 people in G&E, there was no really good way to manage that. Although I was better prepared than I've ever been, I still had some gripes with my own performance as the DP. Emily and I had meetings, went through shot list, and did our best to communicate the vision, and she had a very strong one, which I genuinely appreciated. But even after feeling like we were on the same page, there were many moments on day one where I'd set up the shot I thought we talked about, only to find out she was imagining something completely different. In one scene where the female lead was reminiscing, looking off into the distance, I imagined it as French overs and profile shots. Really lean into that feeling of wondering, of looking out at something unseen, since there was nothing we were cutting to during this. Instead, Emily wanted it mostly frontal with an OTS of the male lead. Not a problem creatively, it was less complex, but my issue was the position of the sun. We were completely front lit the entire time. I did my best to add contrast in the entire shots, but I became visibly frustrated on set, and I'm not really proud of that. Mainly because I just would have picked to shoot this at a different time of day. Another note from the director was deep focus, and I mean very deep focus. Both talents in a 2-shot, in focus, standing about 5 feet apart. Again, not a creative issue on its own, but the background of that scene wasn't ideal. Every time I tried to hide imperfections with a little shallow focus, I was told it was too shallow. Add in the crazy wind gusts, and it got to me. And that's really the point. It shouldn't have gotten to me as much as it did. Because at the end of the day, I'm genuinely proud of what we made. And the moments where I did feel frustrated, I didn't let them fester. Emily and I talked through them, got back on the same page, and we kept on moving. That's what collaboration is supposed to look like. But it did remind me of something important. There's a real difference between being a filmmaker and being a DP. As a filmmaker, the story is yours to shape. As a DP, your job is to honor the shape someone else has defined, and use every tool in your arsenal to tell it as powerfully as possible. Learning to sit fully in that role, to trust the director, and channel your energy into serving the vision rather than controlling it. That's the real work. Don't forget to like this video and comment below on what you think a filmmaker is compared to a DP. If you liked this video, check out our last one about travel work and one of our other behind the scenes shoots that we did with Emily in the past. Au revoir.